Why do we pay a monthly bill just to cool our own homes? Look at a modern skyscraper. It is tall, shiny, and made of glass. We call it a masterpiece, but in reality, it is a multi-billion-dollar tomb. We think this is cutting-edge technology. It is not. It is just a beautiful glass oven on permanent life support. If the power grid fails for just 2 days, this building becomes unlivable. You cannot open the windows. You cannot breathe the air. It becomes a hot, suffocating box. We spend 40 hours a week working jobs just to pay for the electricity to keep these dead boxes cool. We are fighting nature every single second. It is a massive waste of money and energy. But what if I told you that a tiny insect has already solved this crisis? It has a brain the size of a grain of sand, yet it builds better than our best architects. By the end of this video, you will see a secret design that could save you thousands of dollars and change how we live forever. Stay tuned to see the blueprint that makes our modern cities look like ancient history. Imagine standing in a desert where the sun feels like a heavy weight. The sand is 120 degrees. Most animals are hiding or dying. But right in the middle of this heat, a massive dirt tower stands tall. This is the home of the termite. For 100 years, the smartest humans on Earth were wrong about these structures. We thought they were just clever air conditioners. We thought the termites used chimneys to push hot air out. But new research shows something much more amazing. This mound is not a machine. It is a metabolic lung. A termite mound does not fight the heat like our buildings do. It processes it. Think about how your own body works. Your lungs do not use fans or electricity to give you oxygen. They use thin membranes to swap gases. The walls of a termite mound do the exact same thing. These walls are not just dead, static bricks. They are living filters filled with millions of microscopic pores. These tiny holes breathe in a rhythm. They pump carbon dioxide out and pull fresh oxygen in. They use the same logic as your own respiratory system. While our architects build thick walls to block the world out, the termite builds a skin that lets the world in. This is 50 million years of smart design. It makes our best engineering look like a toy. Modern architects love to talk about a style called parametricism. This is a fancy word for using powerful supercomputers to design buildings with fluid curves and strange shapes. When we look at these buildings, like the ones designed by the famous Zaha Hadid, we are amazed. They look like waves in the ocean or soft clouds. We celebrate these architects for making buildings that look organic or natural. We think we are finally building like nature, but there is a ruthless truth we are ignoring. It is all just a show. I call it biological cosplay. The architect only mimics the shape of nature, but the termite mimics the system of nature. Think about a plastic fruit. It looks like an apple, but you cannot eat it. It has no seeds, no juice, and no life. That is what a modern organic building is. It is art, not engineering. We use complex math and millions of dollars to make a concrete wall look curvy. But that wall is still a dead object. It does not breathe. It does not help the building stay cool on its own. It is just a very expensive decoration. The termite does the exact opposite. It does not care if its home looks pretty to a human eye. It follows simple rules to build a working lung. While we use math for beauty, the termite uses logic for survival. Our buildings follow form, which means they are built to look a certain way. Termite mounds follow metabolism, which means they are built to function a certain way. We are building sculptures that we try to live in. Termites are building living systems that happen to look like towers. One is just a hollow mask of nature. The other is the real thing. It is time we stop confusing a pretty shape with a smart design. We think of computers as machines made of silicon, wires, and glowing screens. But in the desert, there is a computer made of nothing but dirt and spit. It doesn't have a battery. It doesn't have a plug. Yet it performs complex calculations every second to keep its inhabitants alive. This is the secret of the termite mound. It does not need a steady breeze to stay cool. Instead, it captures the messy, chaotic energy of the wind. Scientists call this oscillatory ventilation, but you can think of it as a heartbeat. Every 10 seconds, the mound has a pulse. When the wind hits the outside of the tower, it creates tiny changes in pressure. The mound is designed to catch these vibrations. It uses them to push stale air out and pull fresh air in. It is a cyclic flow that never stops. There are no fans, there are no sensors, there are no wires. This is pure atmospheric logic. The mound calculates the air pressure of the environment through its own shape. While our smart buildings use expensive thermostats and cooling systems, the termite mound uses geometry. It is a 0-watt self-regulating system. It is smarter than any HVAC system ever designed by a human. It processes the wind like a processor chip processes data. It turns the power of nature into a living rhythm. This is not just a pile of mud. It is a living, breathing computer that makes our modern technology look ancient. It is time we realize that real intelligence doesn't always need a circuit board. Why is your electricity bill so high? Every month you work hard to pay for air conditioning. You are paying to keep a dead glass box cool. This is the great energy scandal of the modern world. Right now, our buildings are responsible for 40% of global carbon emissions. That is a massive number. Most of that energy is wasted because our smart buildings are actually incredibly dumb. We do not use the laws of nature to our advantage. Instead, we try to fight them with brute force. When it gets hot outside, we turn on massive compressors and spinning fans. We use huge amounts of electricity to force the heat out of our rooms. It is like trying to empty the ocean with a bucket. It is expensive, loud, and bad for the planet. We call this modern technology, but it is actually a sign of failure. You aren't just paying for comfort, you are paying for an architect's inability to understand basic physics. We build ovens and then spend billions of dollars trying to keep them cold. It makes no sense. Now, look at the termite mound again. It stands in the middle of a baking desert. The sun is screaming, but inside, the temperature stays perfect. How much does the termite pay for this? $0. The termite does not use brute force. It uses efficiency. It uses the shape of its home and the pressure of the wind to do the work for free. It uses elegance instead of power. While you are working a 9-to-5 job just to afford your cooling bill, the termite is living in luxury for free. We have been taught that expensive machines are the only way to be comfortable, but the termite proves that geometry is more powerful than any machine. We have chosen to be slaves to the power grid because we forgot how to build with the world. It is time to admit that our best engineering is just a clumsy attempt to fix a design that was broken from the start. Can we actually build like a termite? In the city of Harare, Zimbabwe, one man tried. His name was Mick Pierce. He is an architect who wanted to build a massive office complex called the Eastgate Center. But there was a problem. Zimbabwe is hot and traditional air conditioning was too expensive to run. Pierce decided to look at the termite mound for the answer. He designed the building to use the same chimney system he thought the termites used. The result was incredible. The building stays cool all year round and saves 90% on energy costs. It has saved millions of dollars in electricity bills. But here is the shocking secret. Pierce actually copied the wrong theory. At that time, everyone believed the old chimney idea. We thought the mounds were just cooling machines. But as we learned earlier, we now know that a termite mound is actually a lump. Pierce copied a cooling vent, not a respiratory system. He built a machine, not a living organ. This is the ultimate irony. Even a flawed copy of nature saved millions of dollars. It outperformed our best modern technology. Now, I want you to imagine something even bigger. If we can save 90% by copying the wrong theory, what happens when we master the right one? What happens when we stop building chimneys and start building lungs? We are standing at the edge of a revolution. We have only been scratching the surface of what these tiny insects can teach us. If we want to build like termites, we have to stop constructing and start growing. Right now, we build houses like Lego sets. We use heavy cranes and flat bricks to make stiff boxes. But nature does not work this way. A tree does not use a crane to grow. A termite mound does not use a blueprint. Instead, thousands of tiny insects work together as a swarm. This is the future of our cities. Imagine a swarm of small robots or drones flying over a construction site. Instead of building a wall, they print a structure that looks like bone or skin. These future skyscrapers will not be static objects. They will be alive. We call this negotiated construction. This means the building actually talks to its environment. While the robots print the walls, they adjust the shape based on the local wind and sun. If one side of the building gets too much heat, the robots print more pores or holes to let it breathe. The building is not finished when the workers leave. It continues to change and adapt. Imagine a building that can sense the weather. When the sun comes out, the building adjusts its own skin to stay cool. When the wind blows hard, the pores open or close to catch the pulse of the air. This is the vision of living architecture. We are moving away from dead concrete and moving toward materials that act like biological organisms. We won't need massive AC units anymore because the building itself is the cooling system. We are finally learning that the best way to build a home is to let it grow, just like a termite mound. The age of the dead box is over. The age of the living city is about to begin. If termites are so smart, why are our houses still concrete ovens? Why are we still living in buildings that feel like traps? The answer is simple but painful. We are trapped in a static industrial complex. This means our world is built for the convenience of the builder, not the comfort of the person living inside. We prioritize control over efficiency. We like steel, glass, and concrete because they are predictable. They are easy to manufacture, easy to ship, and easy to sell. But they are dead materials. They cannot think, they cannot breathe, and they cannot help you. We have chosen a system that values the profit of the industry over the survival of the inhabitant. It is easier for a company to sell you a massive air conditioner than it is to design a building that stays cool for free. It is easier to pour cheap concrete than it is to grow a living wall. We are living in a maintenance industrial complex. We build things that are fundamentally broken so that we have to spend money every month to fix them or keep them running. It is a cycle of waste that keeps you working a job you might not like, just to pay for a home that doesn't even work for you. We have been told that this is just how things are, but now you know the truth. You have seen that a tiny insect has a better technology than a billion-dollar construction company. The reason we aren't building living cities yet isn't because we lack the science. It is because we lack the courage to change a broken system. We have chosen the convenience of the machine over the wisdom of nature. But once you see the logic of the lung, you cannot go back to the logic logic of the box, you are no longer just a tenant. You are part of a revolution that is demanding a better way to live. We have spent this entire journey looking at the failures of humans and the genius of insects, but now we have reached the most important part. It is time to talk about that secret design I promised you at the beginning. For 50 million years, the termite has been hiding a blueprint in the dirt. It is not a machine. It is a system of living architecture. This is the secret that can change how we live forever. By building homes that breathe like lungs instead of sitting like dead boxes, we can finally stop fighting nature. This design is the key to saving you thousands of dollars. Imagine your bank account if you never had to pay for cooling or heating ever again. That isn't a dream. It is what happens when you use geometry instead of electricity. It makes our modern cities look like ancient history. We have been so proud of our glass towers, but compared to a termite mound, they are just primitive caves on life support. You came here thinking termites were pests. You are leaving knowing they are engineers. For 50 million years, this tiny insect has been sitting in the dirt, quietly running a 0-watt cooling system that our best architects still cannot copy. We didn't lack the technology. We lacked the humility to look down. The Eastgate Center proved it. A flawed copy saved 90%. Imagine what the real version could do. Your electricity bill is not the cost of comfort. It is the cost of forgetting how to build with nature instead of against it. But here is what nobody is telling. The termite is not the only insect rewriting the rules of architecture. Next time, we look at a creature that builds bridges stronger than steel, using nothing but its own body weight and geometry. If termites can replace your AC, this creature might just replace your engineer. Subscribe, because the dirt under your feet is hiding more secrets than the stars above your head. The future is not being invented. It is being translated ever again.